This is the mic check song. It isn't very long. Tonight we're doing something a little bit different. I hope you guys enjoy. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey! Evening guys, Netbug here, and welcome to Animation Hyperfixation. This is not a game stream, this is something else I've been planning to do for a while. How's it going, Kanchime? You guys can see yourselves in chat up here for this one too, because this is gonna be... Hi Yushikam, nice to see you. This is gonna be very audience interactive. So, let's talk really quick about what this is. If you follow my channel, y'all know that the tagline is animation, games, and other tomfoolery. Only I haven't really done much animation content in a while. Hi Brown Bear, hey everyone. So glad to see everyone showing up for this one. I'm really excited to share this with you. It's a little different and I was a little nervous, not gonna lie. And the issue isn't that I have nothing animation to talk about. The issue is a few things. For starters, it takes a lot more time to make an essay that I'm proud of, a video essay. And also, I have a bad habit of getting really scatterbrained when it comes to my animation content. I'll get like 50 ideas for various content, and I'll try to work a little bit on all of them, and at the end of the day, none of them get done, or if they do, they were something that was really time sensitive, and by the time that I've gotten around to posting it, it's gone. The fire's gone, nobody cares about the topic anymore. Let me just make sure my sound is all good. You guys can hear me all right, yeah? I always get nervous at the start of these things ever since the great silent Stardew Valley stream incident of 2002. Where is my phone? Try to look up and see how I'm doing on stream sound, and my phone's missing. I don't know where it went. That's cute. So yeah, the idea behind this is trying to find my phone to check my stream, and I'm not sure where it is. Hold on. Actually, I know another way I can check. Let's see. There it is. Alright. Just want to make sure that all the sound is good. Let's see. On my channel. Okay, perfect. Yeah, one of the things we are going to talk about today is Rise, actually. So yeah, my issue is a lot of the time I get way too many ideas at once and nothing gets done. And so I want to try and focus my efforts for my video essays more on evergreen, really specific interests, you know, like my closer look vids or video essays about major things that might take a little while to do. But I also am a chatty person and have a lot of thoughts on current events, short rants about animation that may not require an entire video. And that's the idea behind this, is probably about every other week, give or take, depending how much stuff is going on. I'm going to just sit down with you guys with a list of topics, and we're going to... Are you still proud of the countdown from 2014? You mean the Monkey Team one? I mean, it's definitely aged quite a bit, but, you know, I know a lot of people still enjoy it, so I'm happy that it's there. I've gotten out of habit of taking down old videos just because I feel they're cringe, because other people still enjoy them, and if nothing else, it's great to go back and see how far I've come on something, you know? But yeah, the idea behind Animation Hyperfixation is I'm gonna ramble a lot about smaller topics, and in just this sort of format, like, we're just going to be using a browser and all that good stuff, and just talking about it sort of in the style of a podcast. Now, before we get too deep into it, I need to first talk about this adorable art was commissioned by the wonderful Kiritachi. Go follow them, go commission them if you want a cute chibi like this. It's fantastic. Thank you so much Carrie, for the lovely artwork. Oh, the countdown shows that blew it. Oh no, that one. You know, I like that one, but I feel it was a little under-researched looking back. I definitely had an agenda to rant about shows I was personally upset about, and it showed. Also, for people who are just coming to this channel for the first time, let me just tell you a little bit about myself so you have a rough idea of what kinds of content I'm into. I'm Netbug009. I am not an anime-specific fan. I'm not a non-anime specific fan. We're going to talk about both in these. I don't get the whole divide between AniTube and AnimationTube. It's all animation to me. It's all good. Some of my favorite stuff tends to be sci-fi. I'm a big Pixar fan, always have been. They've inspired me a lot. Sci-fi, robots, love stories, magical girl stuff. That's where my bias is. I'm just letting you know so you know what kinds of stuff I'm most likely to talk about and watch. But I think that's all I have to say to explain this, so without further ado, let's get talking about the cartoons. We're gonna start with anime. The spring 2022 season just ended, and I want to start off by talking a little bit about the series that I enjoyed. And by that, I mean the series I finished. We have so much anime, and I have so much going on, that honestly, the best compliment I can give a show these days is, oh, I finished it. Because even if it's a show that I have a lot of criticism of once it's over, it still hooked me enough that I actually got through it while it was airing. So, first one, let's just get the obvious one out of the way and talk about Spy X Family a bit. I just said, oh, the ones I finished, but I actually haven't finished this one yet because I'm about halfway through and I'm waiting to watch more of it with Elastic Poodle because this is absolutely their cup of tea. I've been keeping up with the manga a bit better than that, though. Nobody needs to tell you, if you haven't heard already, Spy X Family. Oh no, if I'm gonna do a rant on Monogatari, it's gonna be a whole episode. I probably won't. Yeah, if I'm just starting out with Spy X Family because that's the one there's not really much to say on if you haven't heard already. Everyone has said so much great stuff about it. It's a sort of Mr. and Mrs. Smith style show, but with more anime and this adorable sunshine child. And if you haven't watched this, watch it. Or even if you're like not directly animation, but manga which becomes animation, guys, if you don't have a Shonen Jump subscription, why don't you? I mean, there's valid reasons like not having the money, but if you have a budget for media that you spend every month, Shonen Jump is $2 a month, and it's most of their manga library in there, ad-free, on an app. It is incredible. So if you're enjoying Spy X Family and you are thinking, I want to know what happens next, it's $2 a month, guys, for an official... We didn't... When I was okay, back in my day, already in old lady netbug mode, you all who are growing up with the simulpubs don't understand what Shonen Jump magazine was like. Back in the 2000s, we had a print magazine of Shonen Jump in the United States. And it had 4 series in it. It wasn't like the Japanese one that's still going. It had 4 series, and you had to wait months and months and months for them to get published in the US. That is actually something I want to do a whole video on eventually, so I'll stop there on that one. Next series that I actually am not caught up with this one either after saying, oh, I'm caught up on these, but I spent the last season binging the previous 2 seasons of Kaguya-sama, Love is War. And look at what my anime list has been doing with this. I have just been absolutely amazed by how popular this rom-com has gotten. It's currently ranked #1 of everything on my anime list. I don't know how long that's gonna last. If you're on my anime list, you know that #1 spot is treacherous, and particularly if you're not Full Metal Alchemist, it's hard to keep that spot. So, who knows? But this is definitely next on my radar of things to watch, because I spent this past season binging the last 2 seasons, and I watched the dub. And I'm very picky about my dubs, so the fact that I chose to do dubs for all of this says a lot. I know that it's a little different than... It's one of those dubs that does things a little bit differently than the Japanese version, mainly because of how it handles the narrator. If you haven't seen any of Kaguya-sama, one of the major gimmicks of it is that there's this really dramatic narrator who makes all of this stupid stuff that is happening. It's essentially these really dumb teenagers who are in love and they're both tsunderes. It's this really dramatic narrator. And the original Japanese, he takes everything completely seriously, which is very funny. But in the dub, he's clearly this exhausted adult, tired of everyone's nonsense. And as somebody who's hitting 31, yeah, I know it's a little polarizing. I'm getting people like, no, not the dub narrator. It's definitely a polarizing opinion, but I personally really like the dub. Not everyone's into the dub, but it is one of... I personally enjoy it as somebody who's getting a bit older and getting to the point where it's hard for me to take some of this drama seriously. Having the narrator who's also like, oh my gosh, why, is very funny to me. Alright, now we're really starting to get into the one-offs and stuff that I personally like that maybe not as many people are watching. This might have been my favorite solo, not already pre-anticipated. Besides Spy X Family, this might have been my favorite of this season. Shikimori is not just a cutie, aka Shikimori is actually a well-rounded character. I hate how low my standards have gotten for anime lately. Shikimori is just like, the whole premise of it is, frankly, that this girl that the guy's dating has a multifaceted personality. There, I said it. And I hate how that gimmick actually works. We've gotten so many shows lately where the entire gimmick is, oh, look how cute the personality of this girl is, and look how self-insert fantasy it is that the guy has to take care of her all the time. And it just gets... Look, I'm not trying to yuck people's yums. I'm not trying to say, oh, every romance has to be realistic. I'm all for some wish fulfillment. It just gets a little tiring when that is the constant trope running through everything. It feels like anime was never really targeted at women very much, and it feels like it's gotten less and less so over the years. And, I mean, Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie is still a male-targeted rom-com, but I have no more eloquent way to put this. Everyone in the show is bisexual, and you can't change my mind. There's a popular meme that went around where, the main girl, if you've seen that "Who is that hot guy? Dude, chill, that's your girlfriend" meme, that's from this show. And I've just really enjoyed this one. I thought it's sweet. I like the dynamic between the characters. I finished it up to what episodes are out. Unfortunately, you might notice a little bit weird here, it's only to episode 9. Unfortunately, the studio had to close for a bit due to a COVID outbreak, so it's a little behind. But if you've been looking for some good, wholesome rom-com that feels like the characters have a good dynamic, kind of along the lines of, if you enjoyed Fly Me to the Moon, you'll probably like this. Alright, and then last one, I sort of ranked it from most obvious to least obvious. I finished this one, I liked it, I did have some issues with it. We're gonna talk about Tomodachi Game. I have a bit of a soft spot for death game anime. I know they're edge, I know that they're kind of silly, but I just, it's my guilty pleasure, and I was actually really impressed by Tomodachi Game. I went into it thinking, oh, this is just gonna be something that appeals to me because it's my guilty pleasure, but it's gonna be objectively bad. And in some ways, it falls into those pratfalls that a lot of these things do, but the writer of this is a master of suspense and mystery. Like, none of the characters are that interesting in and of themselves, but it is the first anime in a very long time that has left me really not sure what was going to happen next in each episode, while still feeling like it was rewarding. It manages to pull so many plot twists, and yet explains them all in a way that makes it feel like it makes sense. It doesn't just feel like they just pulled it out of their butt. And it was the series of the season that had me the most, oh, I need to know what happens next. I need to know what happens next. Yeah, it's definitely, I haven't actually watched Squid Game yet, but I've heard a lot of people saying it's basically anime Squid Game. I did say it has some pratfalls. One of the major things it does that just really disappointed me, a lot of people have the same complaint about Sword Art Online. I hate it when a series claims that it's above something, but does so in a way where it's still reveling in that. And it does this twice. I'm gonna say this in the most vague way I can, because it's light spoiler territory, really, really light spoiler territory. But towards the end, there is a point where there's a game that is particularly brutal, and the show goes out of its way to have the characters say, this isn't like the rest of Tomodachi Game. Tomodachi Game is more nuanced than this. Then why would you put this in? You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You don't get to have an episode where it's like, oh, we're just going to go into the most edgy, tropish, cliche stuff because we know the fans will eat it up, but we're going to the entire time say we're better than it. I hate when shows do that. It's one thing to, like, parody something like that, but this show just plays it straight and then goes, oh, but we're better than that. No, you're not. You wouldn't have done it. It also does that really annoying thing where it will have a female character suffer in a way that, like, it doesn't get too explicit. It's not like Sword Art Online levels, if you remember the infamous scene from Sword Art Online. It has a scene where a female character is sexually harassed, where the show is trying to tell us, oh, this is bad, but the camera is trying to still get the audience to enjoy what is happening to this character, and ugh, I hate it. I hate when shows do that, not just because it's gross, but it's just, it's a lack of sincerity. It's, you know that what you are doing is bad. You're acknowledging that in the show that what you are doing is bad, and then you're doing it anyway, and hoping that nobody notices because you put a 30-second rant about how bad it is first. It's insulting to the audience's intelligence, and I don't like it on multiple levels. But that said, other than those issues, which really kind of only were a small part of one episode towards the end of the series, I was just really impressed with the way the show handled its suspense. I was legitimately surprised by plot twists while feeling that they were earned, and that's something you don't get very much from a mystery anime, from my experience. Anime is not the greatest at horror and mystery, from it seems, and it just doesn't, there's not that many great examples in the genre of things that legitimately surprise me anymore. There's things that are really good, even if they don't surprise me, but it's not often I'm really genuinely surprised by a series like I was Tomodachi Game. Beware that it's not perfect, but if you like this genre, or if you just like a good mystery thriller element, I recommend giving it a look. Alright, that's what I was enjoying this past season. We're going to talk about what looks good for next season. I have not started any of the new seasonal shows yet. I'm kind of waiting till the first episodes of all of them are out, and I'm also still catching up on last season. But these are the ones that I picked. How many did I pick here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I picked out 5 plus an honorable mention to talk about that look particularly interesting. This is the segment that doesn't age well. Watch half of these turn out to be crap. First off, the sequel to Devil is a Part-Timer. I have not watched Devil is a Part-Timer yet, but I love workplace comedies. I love anything that makes jokes about retail. So, hey Blackjack, how's it going? So, this is one that I definitely want to get into watching the first season of and catch up on. because anything that makes fun of retail is my bread and butter. If you haven't seen it, I bet it's recommended down here. Oh, it's not, I guess, because it's not quite out yet. Go watch Skullface Bookseller Honda-san. It's hilarious, especially if you've ever worked in retail. It doesn't have to be a bookstore. If you've ever worked in retail, it's good stuff. I will watch any workplace comedy people throw at me that I can find. Next one is probably the most obvious. Everybody's gonna be watching this pretty much. But the new season of Made in Abyss is finally coming out. I've been keeping up with the movies. I'm really excited about this one. I don't... Is the manga done? Or is the manga still going? The manga is still going. So nobody knows how this ends yet. I want to know how this ends, honestly. It's one of those where I want to know what's at the bottom of the abyss. I know it's going to be forever till we find out. Some shows are about the journey, not the destination, but I want to know where this is going to end up. And I've enjoyed this show so far. Really looking forward to see. Hopefully the animation stays top quality. We are all living in the shadow of the horrible second season of One Punch Man, and I pray that doesn't happen to this. I hope that money from the movies is helping them keep the animation budget up, because this is one of the first season of this was one of the most gorgeously animated series of the past decade. Bottom of the Abyss is the entrance to the Fate Hole. Oh gosh, Fate. I gotta get... That's a series I want to get into at some point, speaking of lovely animation. I haven't touched it with a 10-foot pole yet. I'm scared. Oh boy, Made in Abyss. Can't wait to not watch it. Gosh, yeah. Remember when we all thought Made in Abyss was gonna... Spoiler alert, but Made in Abyss... I mean, hold on. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Made in Abyss is a fun adventure show where nothing bad ever happens. Nothing bad whatsoever. Anyways... next one is probably gonna be the most obscure, and I don't know if this one's actually gonna be good, but I like the premise of it. Isekai Oji-san is an anime that all I know about it is the summary that we've got here, and I'm just immediately on board. It's about this uncle of this character who's been stuck in a coma, and while in that coma, apparently, was a isekai hero, and it's been 20 years, and now he's back and has to adjust to regular life. I think this could be a very funny series if it's done the right way. I don't know. This guy's face kind of scares me, though, but, like, I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. Because this looks like an interesting spin on the isekai genre. And I'd like to watch more isekai. I'm just very tired of a lot of the tropes. Really hyped for an anime called Futo Tante. I don't think that's on this list, but... I'll take a look. Oh, I did see the poster for this one. This almost made... I kind of narrowed my list down to 5 because I didn't want to be spending forever rambling and just saying over and over again, this looks like it might be good over and over, but this one did look interesting. That's something I should have mentioned a bit more in the opening to this. This is going to be a very audience interactive show, so if you ever have topics you want to talk about, if you ever have things you want to bring up, if I don't address them right away, I'm probably taking a mental note of them to address later, because I want to be having this conversation with you guys, not just talking into a bubble for people to watch later. So by all means, if you have thoughts on this season's upcoming anime, sound off. I love reading your guys' thoughts on things. And, alright, next one is... We're going back to my childhood. There is a new season of Tokyo Mew Mew, or a new remake of Tokyo Mew Mew, I should say. I am Magical Girl Trash. I grew up with Magical Girl Trash. Some of my first anime was the horrible dub of Sailor Moon, and I remember reading the manga of this in my school library. So, I'm excited to see this. I always love a good Magical Girl series. I've been trying to watch all of Precure. I hope that... I just hope it holds up. Because, the first season of Sailor Moon Crystal was pretty bad. They got on track, but the first season was pretty bad. I worry a little bit because because this is a nostalgia show, I worry that they're going to cater more to the guys who grew up, who are into this. Like, now that we're living in a very different world of magical girl series than when this first came out. I just hope that it keeps some of its shoujo roots and doesn't turn into one of those series that is sort of shoujo, but not really, because they're trying to sell figurines to guys. And I'm a little worried about that. I'm just a little worried about that. But that might just me being a huge pessimist. I don't want to immediately... I'm having a lot of feminist rants today. That's not the intent. I don't just want to be the disgruntled female anime fan constantly rambling about this stuff, but it has been a rough time to be a girl who likes anime. Let's be real. Speaking of shows that are definitely going to be more targeted towards the male demographic, but have my interest, why wouldn't shoujo sell figurines to guys? I mean, yeah, it's just it changes things sometimes. It's hard to explain. It's good that it keeps the theming and everything. I just want shoujo shows. Do you know how hard it is to find shoujo series anymore? Shoujo is like how many shoujo series? There's so few shoujo anime. How many shoujo anime are there? There's 700 in total, and there's been way less lately. And that seems like a large number, but let me pull up the genres. Look at that. The only genre... There's not that many genres with less. In fact, I'd argue that... In fact, demographics. Here, this is a better... Other than josei, which is anime targeted at older women, this is what we're dealing with. It's hard, and there's not been many shoujo series lately in particular. The only... Also, being a Girls Love fan is difficult, but that's another discussion. Anyways, next one. This is an original, caught my interest. Prima Doll. It's apparently about these robot girls who were originally made for war, despite looking like this, but you know, it's anime, whatever. And they're trying to work in a cafe and live in peacetime. And I hear cafe and I'm immediately on board. I hear robots, I'm immediately on board. I'm just curious to see how this one goes. I don't have too many thoughts on it yet. I don't know, but I am definitely curious and hoping that this will be a good one. I'm not always a fan of the cute girls doing cute things genre, but this one has my attention because robots. Alright, that's the 5 new ones that I'm particularly interested in. The next one, we're going to talk about one more thing here, because technically it's not a new series, but some big stuff has been happening in it lately. We gotta talk about One Piece. So, those of you who don't know, I love One Piece. I love One Piece so much, and Oda just went on, the author, Eiichiro Oda, just went on a hiatus to prepare for the final arc of the series. So, I've been mostly keeping up with the manga these days, because look at that episode count. Look at that episode count. And some of the episodes in, like, the 800s and 700s were really bad, guys. They were so badly done that I kind of fell off. And I've been reading the manga to keep up at this point. But we're actually getting close to the end game, which is shocking to me. This has been a staple for me since I got into manga, pretty much. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to end soon, because One Piece arcs... How long has Wano been going on? Like, the Wano arc has been going on for, I think, 2 or 3 years. If you want to feel old, the 2-year time skip was about half the series ago, and it doesn't feel like it because there have been so many less arcs and they've been so much more detailed. So, gracious. But we're getting there. We're getting there, slowly. And that's exciting to me. But at the same time, you know, I was just talking about series that are more about the journey than the destination. Momonosuke's been with the Straw Hats for 10 years. Good gracious, it doesn't feel like it at all. The second half has felt so much faster. Well, like, it's felt like less time has passed because less places have been visited, and everything's been so much more dense. But yeah, it's gonna be weird when the series is gone, because I feel like I've just now gotten to an age where I can appreciate the journey over the destination. When I was younger, I was with a lot of people who were going, oh, why is this taking so long? When are we getting more information about the One Piece? When are we getting to the One Piece? And, you know, I've gotten a bit older, and I like a lot more shows that maybe, who knows what the end's gonna be. I like a satisfying conclusion, but I'm having fun. You know, I'm having fun right now. Who needs to rush when you're having a good time? And I feel like that's such a central theme of One Piece, not just in the length, but in the way the story is told. It's never been about the One Piece. Like, people joke, what if the One Piece is the friends we make along the way? It's probably not, but in a way, the One Piece is the friends we make along the way. More than whatever it ends up actually being, more than the ending, this is a show about the journey, not the destination. And I'm gonna miss it when it's gone. It'll be nice to have a decisive conclusion, but it's gonna leave a big gap. I might have to finally go watch Naruto. Gasp! Alright. So that's it for last season's anime and this season's anime. I do have a few more anime-related topics. Mainly, we don't know when this is going to be exactly, but Mob Psycho Season 3 has been announced, and there was a bit of an incident with it recently. Some of you know about Anime Expo happening these past few weeks. Anime Expo itself was a disaster. They sold far too many tickets, and it was an absolutely unsafe environment. They just did not ease back into conventions, and everybody was so excited. Okay, yeah, right, you're right, it is October. I forgot for a second. It is scheduled for October, so not this season, but next. Thank you, Yusha. And Anime Expo was a mess. It was overcrowded, but that's not the point of this. My point is, at Anime Expo, they did a Mob Psycho 103 panel where they revealed the new opening early. And they told people, guys, don't record the opening. I'll give you 2 guesses what people did. First one doesn't count. Of course they recorded the opening. They recorded the opening and posted it online. It was up within an hour. Of course they did. Have you met anime fans? Of course they did. And of course the official account was all, oh man, I can't believe you guys did this. Why would you do this? This is an issue that I am gonna rant about this. I don't want to seem entitled. I don't believe I'm entitled. I believe that creators of IPs have a right to control how they release their content to an extent. I mean, I do early videos on my coffee, and if people posted them in other places, I would be sad. I get it. Like, but this is an opening. This is an opening for a series. This isn't them leaking the first episodes in a way that impacts the viewing. This is the opening of a series. This is nothing. The opening of a series is a piece that is made to promote a show. It is what you put on the TV so that people coming from the last show see it and get some idea of what it is they want to watch. In fact, I watch more openings to decide what anime I'm going to watch than trailers. I don't know if anybody else is like that. Exactly, it's free advertising. And I don't want to seem like, oh, well, we're entitled to it, because that's not my point. We're not entitled to it. I just don't understand the logic of not releasing it, of being upset when it got released, and not even release it officially a few days later. People would still, the die-hard fans are still going to want to come to the panel. Not just because they get to see it a little earlier than everybody else, but because it's an opportunity to hang out with other Mob Psycho 100 fans. Heck, the panel was full. The panel was completely full. The convention was overly full. They lost absolutely nothing by people sharing it online. And I don't understand the logic of being upset about it. I just cannot understand. Japan has, but I've seen this about other things too. I think it might also just be some cultural differences. Japan has some strange instances of getting upset about something that should promote a show being leaked or otherwise used. Like, one of the big reasons that the later Smash Bros. Games don't have as many cutscenes is because Sakurai didn't like them being uploaded online. And not that it stopped the sales of the game or anything, he just felt they should be rewards. And I sort of get it, but also, what if I just want to rewatch them? It just doesn't seem like it's that big a deal to make a change in a creative choice later on. Also, I've run into this issue myself. I tried to set up, a while ago, a sort of, for the sake of, like, a fun little trivia channel and film preservation and whatever, a YouTube channel that just showed those little eye catches. You know, when a show takes a commercial break, there's a little eye catch. You know, Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? I got hard copyright pushback on that from anime companies. For these 3 seconds of media that absolutely fit under fair use, but I'm not going to argue with the anime companies because it's just not worth it. I just don't understand. Like, morally, I get that they have a right to control it. Legally, I get that they have a right to control it. Actually looking at it I don't get it. I don't understand. There's nothing negative that comes out of releasing this publicly. Even if it was just like, I don't get why they don't just post it officially too. Like, heck, it's even less because all it is these fan recordings that aren't even good quality. So of course people are going to turn in to watch the OP in its full glory when the show comes out. But even if you posted it officially a few days later, oh, well, I've watched the opening of the new Mob Psycho 100 series. Guess that's all I need from the show. No! Said no one ever. Said absolutely no one ever. It does nothing but promote the series. It does nothing but good for hyping up the show. And it just seemed like all this drama for nothing. And especially when it was a full panel at a convention that frankly had way too many people. And a lot of people probably couldn't go partially because of that. Like, that's a whole other conversation. We're living in a strange time where some of us are lucky enough to be all vaxxed up, not be immunocompromised, be able to find places where we can go to movies and events while still maintaining some amount of social distance. And not everyone is. And it's made it really difficult when, that's me moving into a different topic I'm gonna bring up later in the Western animation stuff, because that's actually neither here nor there. But my point is, you lose nothing by having this intro out there. You still would have had a full panel, even if it's just, oh, we're showing this to you guys first, and then it goes everywhere else later. Because it's not just about watching the opening. It is about the community, it is about so much more than that. Anyways, if you haven't watched Mob Psycho 100 yet, I am begging you, go watch Mob Psycho 100. My favorite anime of all time. Bar none, period. And from all the promo material, it actually looks like this might be the last season. I have read the manga, so it's looking like we might be wrapping up here soon from the way that the promo material's been done. So get on it. It's amazingly good. Please get on this show. Even if this isn't your usual genre. Supernatural isn't my usual genre. Whenever I try to sell this to people, I describe it as a coming-of-age, cleverly disguised as a supernatural thriller. Because that's what it is. But you know, with more epic shonen fights than you'd expect from a coming-of-age. Is inspired by how one created the series. You know, that's might be another reason that I'm personally a big fan of Mob Psycho 100 is I like to write. I am not the greatest artist. So seeing somebody who is able to convey their ideas in their webcomic, despite not being the greatest artist either, and then have these people who were much more skilled go, hey, we want to really bring this up to an 11 so more people can enjoy the story, having them come and take it up, how One Punch Man got an updated manga, how Mob's getting an updated anime. I'm not saying this to insult one. It's just a fact. He is not the greatest artist. He is able to service his story, but his work always shines the best when other people pick it up from him. And it brings me a lot of inspiration to just do the best I can, even if I'm not always the greatest artist and the greatest at everything. If I do the best I can, then I can dream of other people helping me make my stuff even better. And I think I've already seen that sometimes. But, alright. Next topic on this. So, okay. Last topic in the anime section here, and getting a little bit sad. This past week, we unfortunately saw the passing of Kazuki Takahashi at 60 years old unexpectedly. I don't want to get too sad. I don't want to just turn this into sad fan hours, but I do want to talk a little bit about my story with this series. Because, yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to diss one's art. Like, he's actually improved quite a bit, too. You can see it in his stuff. And he's definitely better than me. Like, I say, oh, I can relate to him. He can draw way better than me. But, yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! is... I don't talk about it very much these days. I'm not really in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fandom, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Was my gateway manga. And by that I mean, it was the first time I read manga while really understanding what manga was. I was in middle school, and, I had been watching the anime, the 4Kids dubbed anime, because, I didn't know any better. And I don't remember how it came... Oh, wait, no, I do. The girl next to me on the bus was reading a copy of Shonen Jump. Like I mentioned before, it had a physical magazine, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Was on the cover of this one. And I didn't know there was a comic for Yu-Gi-Oh! So I expressed interest, and out of just sheer kindness, this person who didn't even know me was willing to lend me her brand new Shonen Jump issue so that I could check it out. And I started reading the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. I found the back issues at the library, and it got me hooked on Shonen Jump magazine, which in turn led me to reading the other series in Shonen Jump magazine, including One Piece. So it is a very foundational series for me. I would not be the person I am today without it. It wasn't... Now, I want to stress, it's not the first time I read manga. It was just the first time I knew it. Again, we're going back in my day. Back in the ancient 1990s, they tried to get manga a bit more popular in the States by selling it in the format of comic books. Like, you could pick up Sailor Moon in comic book format, 30 stapled pages together, issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, and you could also do that for Cardcaptor Sakura. You could do that for some of the early Pokemon manga, like the Electric Tale of Pikachu. You could do that for Metabots. All the big ones that were really popular back in the 1990s. But it was disguised as an American comic and sold at American comic book shops in the same format. It was really not until the early 2000s with stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh! Which, Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly, I don't think that manga would have managed had Yu-Gi-Oh! Not sort of... Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a lot of people's gateway, because they loved the anime. The anime was extremely popular. For a while, it was the noticeable franchise alongside Pokemon in the United States. And, it opened... People wanted to see more, between that and also, like, more of Clamp's works getting translated. People were getting more open to the idea of uncut manga, even reading it right to left. And Viz was a major flagship of that. And they still are. In fact, Viz is continuing to try and help keep the manga industry alive by keeping prices low. And I know some of you are thinking, this is not animation, Kelly, this is comics. It has to do with it. I'm talking about it. It's my podcast thing. Hashtag deal with it. But yeah, it's just as many... Hope next Yu-Gi-Oh! Series would be a tribute. It'd be nice if we got another movie or something. We did just get some cool crossover events. It would be really fun. I'm a little behind on Yu-Gi-Oh! Admittedly. I watched the original series, I read some of GX. I have fallen a bit off the boat. I would like to get back into some of it. I've heard they've done some really fun stuff in some of the newer series, even if it's not quite the same. Also, if you've never read the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga, the first season, quote-unquote, isn't in the anime that we got in the US at all, and it is so edgy. That's part of how it got me into it, because, like, this person was like, oh, the comic book is way more mature, and I was like, more mature? I'm 12 and I ask for Hot Topic gift cards every birthday. I want to know more about this. So, you can thank teenage edgelordism partially for me getting into manga as well. But I still have a bunch of the issues of Shonen Jump magazine around here. One of these days, that's one of the ones I kind of want to do a full video on, is talking about those magazines, because that was a big thing back then. They tried to get a shoujo one going. Hey Cosmic, how's it going? They tried to get a shoujo series going, a shoujo beat magazine, but it just was not as successful, and from what I heard, it was also much more expensive to produce, because unlike with Shonen Jump, which was run by the people who owned Shonen Jump, Shoujo Beat had to purchase its licenses from other people. So that's why we don't have like a Shoujo Beat magazine online today or anything like that, even though more people are interested, because it's a licensing nightmare. So it didn't last very long. I also can't help but wonder if part of Shoujo Beat magazine's downfall was because they were really trying to market it to mainstream girls, and a lot of us who were 12 and reading this stuff were like, I'm not like other girls, so we weren't interested in the makeup advertisements or anything. They were trying to make it like Cosmopolitan, but for younger people, like Teen Beat, but with manga, and it just didn't happen. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my story with Yu-Gi-Oh! And how it's impacted me. If you've never watched or read the manga, it's a good one. It's a good series. I kind of want to pick it up again and read it in light of this, and just re-enjoy this big piece of my childhood. I never got into the card game, for anyone wondering. I tried. I owned some of the cards. I just did not... It didn't appeal to me the same way. I was a Pokemon card player through and through, still am. But yeah, I just wanted to close up the anime segment of this, talking about this creator and how much his work's meant to me. Alright, and we're moving into the Western animation part. This is probably going to be a little shorter because, unfortunately, I do not have a movie review for you guys yet of either Lightyear or The Rise of Gru. Sorry guys, I've been super busy. I was hoping to have at least seen one of those movies by now, so that could sort of be the big headlining thing. Oh, we're gonna review those. Hopefully by next episode. I would like to talk more about those. I do have a little bit of something to talk about for one of those, though. So, you probably know about this nonsense that's been going on. I decided to use this as the image because I think it's cute that the Minions official Twitter is embracing this apparent memery going on, where people have been going to... Oh, hey, BC, how's it going? Where people have been going to watch the Minions movie dressed in suits and looking like Secret Service members, and I've heard it's been kind of a mixed bag how this went. Like, because unfortunately you get enough teens together doing a meme, and some of them are going to be rowdy, and some of them are going to be rude, and unfortunately it's been a little bit of a mess. But I find this trend interesting. It's like, it's hard to tell how many of these people are going because they're serious and how many are just going for the meme and to hate watch it. But I forget who said it, but there was like an article recently, I think it was the New York Times, that was talking about how Minions has been more successful lately than Mickey Mouse in terms of brand recognition, because it's been so open to being memed, and Illumination has been so chill about people with their memes and people with their nonsense, and not being like the copyright police very much about it. And I find that really interesting as somebody who is very interested in the evolution of copyright and is very interested in animation for a wider audience. Yeah, I don't mind. Like I said, I've heard sometimes the teens have not been very well behaved, which is very frustrating. I hate when, guys, if you're gonna go watch a hate movie, that's fine, but don't be an asshole, okay? If you're going to watch a movie because you don't like it, respect that there's people who are there because they legitimately like the franchise and want to have a good time. Don't be one of those annoying people who is rude and expects everybody to just be on your hate watch party train with you. Don't do it. It's not nice. And it's not very fancy of you either. That's not very fancy of you. If you're going in a suit, have some manners. But I saw the trailer. I'm not sure how excited I am for this. I want to go see it anyway. Frankly, I have been open to pretty much any animated film lately because I'm all vaxxed and I found a good theater that is not very busy during the day and does like 5-hour days on Tuesday when it's even less busy. So I can finally go to the movies again with some social distancing and safety in mind. And it's something I've missed so dearly. I missed going to the movies so much. Like when I went to go see my first animated film again, for the first time in a while, which I believe was actually My Hero Academia, the World Heroes mission, I nearly cried. Because I was just so glad to be back in the theater. It means a lot to me. Going to theaters means a lot to me. Like, that little minion's gonna be me. The one who's actually excited and everyone is looking at them like, what are you doing, man? That's gonna be me when I go see it. Because I love cartoons so much. Even if it's mediocre, I'm still gonna just be so happy to be there. But, yeah, today on Unpopular Topics, I have not seen Belle yet. I want to. I'm trying to catch up on anime movies as well. Unfortunately, we don't get many anime movies here at my theater. I was very lucky when we got My Hero Academia. Very excited about that. I don't get why we don't get more because I live right near a college where, I know people would go see these. Like, Ghibli Fest happens every year, and I keep going, bring Ghibli Fest here. Why don't you bring Ghibli Fest here? You cannot tell me that in this huge college town I live in, there are not enough weebs to warrant that. Like, you cannot convince me of that. But, unpopular opinion time, I like Illumination. I like Illumination Entertainment most of the time. I'm actually one of the few people who is not doom and gloom about the Mario movie. I know that there have been some unpopular quotes taken from, I believe it's, like, some of the CEOs and, financial executives where they've basically said, oh yeah, we just want to make the most cheap schlock possible. But unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is for a lot of the financial sides of art, which is why they're not the people making the art, it's the artists. I just inadvertently called Minions art. That's gonna be a whole thing. But I've enjoyed Illumination films. One of my favorite movies is actually Despicable Me 2, because it's a really cute rom-com. I've seen it more times than a person without children should admit to watching Despicable Me 2. Despicable Me 3 was kind of forgettable, but I've liked the franchise enough that I'm excited to go see another film, and I think that Illumination could do a good job with Mario as well. I liked Sing. I still need to go see Sing 2, but I really like Sing. Although that might be me being very biased, because I am a theater kid, and it is a love letter to theater kids, so maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, quite like it is mine, but that was a movie I really enjoyed. I got emotional over it. But, yeah, the reason I use this meme is I appreciate that, Illumination is taking this weird trend in high spirits. Animation is for everyone. If you're here, you probably know that. That's something I'm gonna say a lot. I know that we talk about, oh, all these boomers with their Minion memes, but, you know, if it's getting adults to go watch animated features, I can't be too fussed about it. Like, it's just, I want to see animation marketed to a wider audience again, in ways these really cartoony movies being promoted not just to children but to everyone is harkening back to the really early days of American animation. Because for those of you, world's quickest history lesson, animation was originally an everyone thing. Then people noticed a lot of kids liked it, and the Hays Code got on board, and it started getting treated as more because kids happen to like it. It should be targeted towards kids, and it's been something that the animation community in the West has been trying to fight back against ever since. So even if I go to Minions and absolutely hate it, the fact that it's getting more adults, even without kids, into seats, the ones who are going ironically aside, the ones who are legitimately enjoying it is who I'm talking about, that makes me happy. That makes me really happy. Anyways, this has been one requested, and it's definitely something I want to talk about. But before I get into it, I want to ask, is there any other series, movies, etc. that I did not touch on today that people want me to talk about? Because we're going to get into spoiler territory for the last one, so I want to get anything else out of the way so that people who don't want spoilers can bail. Because that's why I'm saving. We're talking about the Rise movie. I'm saving it for last because we are probably going to talk about the series a bit, and I don't want to spoil it for people who have not seen it yet. So this is like a last call as the minions go up the eternal escalator. Digimon Adventure Last Evolution, have not seen yet, still catching up on the Tri-series. Disney has announced a crossover. Does Sonic count as an animated movie? Have not seen it yet. Either one. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I need to. I'm not sure it counts as an animated movie. That's a whole conversation. Does anybody remember, was it like, gosh, does anybody remember that one year that Alvin and the Chipmunks was shortlisted for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, and everyone lost their minds debating as to whether or not that should have counted? That is a huge can of worms. I'm not sure I personally would count it, but like, I would talk about Sonic on here though regardless, because it has that amount of animation, but that brings up such an interesting, that's like a potential whole essay thing, is where do you draw the line? Because if I wanted to, I could go, oh, if there's any live action in it, it's not an animated film, and the response back to that would immediately be, Netbug, WALL-E, your favorite movie of all time, has live action sequences. And I'd have to sit there and stare into the abyss and admit that that rule doesn't work. There's a line somewhere, I feel like. And I also still need to watch the Chip and Dale movie. I haven't had Disney Plus for a hot minute, and when I did, I've been busy catching up on Owl House. That's one! People are asking about the Disney animation shows. Let's talk about Owl House for a second before we shove out. So, Owl House just ended its last complete season. If you haven't watched it yet, we're on a hiatus. Now's a good time. I don't want to spoil too much about that one, but it is one I've been enjoying quite a bit. Yeah, I fear to talk about more of that because I don't want to get into heavy spoiler territory. Maybe in a future episode when the next part of the ending comes out, that'll be like the final part of the episode where we talk about spoilers. I try to limit it to one major spoiler rant per episode so that it can go at the end and everybody who's like, oh no, I don't want to get spoiled for this, can get out of Dodge. And yeah, that's really, like, Chip and Dale and things like, remember when Wreck-It Ralph 2 bragged about having won the Oscar before the Oscars? I mean, I don't know if that might be a promotional, the movie was released a few days after the Oscars, right, on DVD. Because when you're that close to a release of something or an event, you kind of have to create promotional material for both possibilities. It's very funny that somebody accidentally put out the promotional material for the wrong thing, but I feel like if you've ever been in printing and production, it makes sense that they had to go, oh, we need to have Academy Award-winning film options for sellers in the event that this wins, and then somebody didn't get the memo and put it out by accident. Yeah, oh, Molly McGee wrapped up this first season. Yeah, I have seen people talking about that more. That's still one I need to watch. I have been curious about that. The theme song has been stuck in my head for the past half year. You know what I wish? I wish that American Animation had something like my anime list, because I am the most scatterbrained human being. And when it comes to American Animation, I always forget. I have this long list of shows that I mean to watch, and I end up watching something randomly. And then I keep up with anime better because it's all organized like this. And pressing the little plus button on the episodes makes the serotonin go brrr. And so it's definitely, I need to keep a better list. And I have heard about the live action One Piece. I don't know, man. Live action remakes, I wish Netflix hadn't killed its animation division. Oh yeah, that's been a thing. Which is a real shame because, like, literally the day before the big news hit about Netflix cutting a bunch of its animation division, I'd just been talking about how Netflix was being a leader in animation, and they were doing so much cool stuff. Like, I just, right before this happened, I had just finished watching Centaur World. Amazing show, please go watch it. And I was just talking with my friends about how, wow, Netflix is really doing some unique and wonderful stuff in animation. And then the next day, they cut their animation division in half. So that's great. And it's just, I follow a lot of people on Twitter who are in the animation industry. And is that why Oda's taking a break from the show from the manga to work on the show? I thought it was just a break before. That makes me happy to hear, but also, Oda, please take a nap. Oda, please take a nap. Please, I beg you. Just take a nap. Just take a break, not to work on something else, but just for the sake of a break. When this series is over, you deserve the longest nap ever. Like, he should just get to live off the royalties for the rest of his life and never have to create anything else. But yeah, it's a real bummer seeing Netflix going this direction because they were doing so many unique experimental things with animation. In fact, I try to recommend something lesser known at the end of every episode, or at least before the spoilery part. That's a goal. And today's is going to be Next Gen, which was a Netflix movie, came out a few years ago, a little bit before the pandemic, and it's a girl and her robot story, and you should go check it out. It is animated entirely in Blender, which is an open source animation program. It's one of the first films to be done that way. I wouldn't say it's like the greatest story ever written. It's a bit predictable, but you guys know me. You know I love a robot best friend story. It's predictable in all the ways that are personally my favorite things. Like, I don't care if it's predictable. I'm gonna eat those tropes up 50 times if people will make films of them 50 times. And the design work is phenomenal. So yeah, today's random recommendation is Next Gen. It's a movie on Netflix. And I think with that, I am seeing some of these other ones here. If I haven't addressed what you've asked, it is either because I don't really know enough about the situation or have much to say about it, or I'm planning on talking about it in the future. If you've said something and I haven't really responded, it's either I still need to watch it, or this isn't something I have much opinion on. But we are going to move on to the animated Blender. I didn't know you could use kitchen. No, that's I need a rim shot. You know what? Just for you. Just for you. Just for you. Where's a rim shot? I just need the sound. I don't need a rim shot sound. Just for you. There you go. So, this is now going... is exactly animated. I've heard the argument that puppetry should count as a type of animation. I don't think so, but it is interesting how those two things tend to... They share a lot of similarities. I know I do need a soundboard one of these days. You know, I have a coffee. If you guys ever want to, like, donate to my coffee, it helps me buy new stuff. Right now I'm saving up for a better microphone, but eventually I'd like to save up for a, one of those little launch pads that has a soundboard and everything in it. So your support helps make stuff like that possible. Although me Googling this is very funny. Okay. So I'm going to cut Q&A for now, because you guys have a lot, and we'll definitely talk about more of these next time. But for now, I am going to segue us into spoiler territory. We are going to finish up tonight's episode talking about the Rise movie, the trailer. We're going to go full spoilers for this about the last season. So if you have not seen it, this is your cue to get off, and thank you so much for coming tonight. If you have seen it, stick around, or you just don't care about spoilers, which is sad because you should care because it's a good show and you should see it. If you have seen it, stick around because that's going to be our last topic of the night. So yeah, for those of you hopping off now, thank you so much for coming by. I'm hoping to do this every few weeks, and this first one has already been such a rousing success. I'm so happy about it. So thanks for coming by. All right. The Rise movie. The Rise movie. I'm even gonna, hold on, I'm even gonna change my text just to make it really clear if anybody drops in. We're just gonna plop this right here so that nobody coming in hasn't been warned. Okay, so the Rise trailer. Oh my word, the Rise trailer. It looks so good, you guys! I'm so excited about this movie. I love Rise of the TMNT. I love the art style. I love everything about it. The animation is so good. It has this kind of Studio Trigger-esque inspired limited animation, and I adore it. It's so good, and we got this trailer that looks amazing. And I'm honestly just shocked the movie's even coming out, because after the show got cut so short, I thought for sure they were going to cancel it. That's what usually happens. You cut a show short, and news of the cancellation of the movie follows, because this movie was ordered when they started the series, and, you know, most of the time when you have a big franchise series, channels will get too big for their britches and order too many things, and then they'll cut them down when the show's not as successful as they'd hoped. So the fact that they're still doing this, thank you, Nickelodeon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright, so, yeah, this is gonna be full spoilers here. So we're gonna talk about the trailer, we're gonna talk about the last season. The trailer, there's gonna be time travel. We've got Casey Jones, the male Casey Jones this time. We got the Krang. We've got kind of a flurry of all the stuff that people wanted in the main series, but there wasn't really time for. Like, people were like, where's the Krang? Here's the Krang. People really wanted to see the OG Casey, quote-unquote. I say that very snarkily because characters are allowed to change in reboots. Get over it. I like Cassandra. I have been in so many fandoms where every reboot is different, that it's really funny to me watching people lose their minds over changes. Like, there's been all this media in the news lately about, oh, I can't believe they used Chris Evans for Lightyear. Yeah, because it's a reboot. In fact, it's not even a reboot, it's a show within a show. Of course he's a different character, they're gonna give him a different voice. But I don't know if there's gonna be a multiverse. So far it's seeming like just time travel. Looking like some coming of age elements too. April's graduating. I've just seen the one trailer. If there's more information out there, I haven't looked it up yet. But that one trailer just absolutely wrecked me. So I'm just going to talk about some of my hopes for it. I should have had this already prepared, but I'm just gonna... What I want in the Rise movie is lesbians! okay, but actually in seriousness, when they finally did the reveal that the Foot Clan girl was the current day iteration of Casey, which was such a cool reveal, I was immediately on board for, so does this mean that there's still a couple in this one and we're going to be gay about it? I think, like, the fact that the show is canceled already kind of means that there's this lack of executive control over it. I feel like everyone already hates the show. Let's just let them do what they want. So I think it would be really funny if April was confirmed to be bi and there was this love triangle between Cassandra, Casey, and April. I just think that would be hilarious. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I'll be a little sad if they just ship future Casey and April and just ignore the Cassandra plotline there, because my brain just I am but a humble pan romantic who likes Yuri. I just want some lesbians in my cartoon, please, as a treat. That's really beside the main points. Gosh, I might have to just go back and rewatch all of Turtles again, because it is such a fast-paced series that I feel like there's so many things I'm missing going back. And April chooses the Turtles. I mean, I think that they've established that they don't want to have a romance between April and the Turtles. In fact, unfortunately, I think they might have established that they just don't feel like writing romance at all. So maybe there's not going to be any romance. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. That's totally fine. I'm fine with this. I'm not a huge fan of anything romantic who is sad about this. It's fine. It's fine. But we'll always have fan fiction though, regardless, right, guys? So, but I'm just excited to see whatever they do with it. Jokes aside, the animation was already so good, and them having a movie budget is going to be crazy. I'm kind of sad that it's not going to be in theaters, because I got a little spoiled by getting to go see World Heroes Mission in theaters. I miss 2D animation on the big screen. I miss it. It'd be so cool to see some 2D animation on the big screen again, especially this stuff. But yeah, I said, oh, this is gonna be a big spoiler rant. It ended up just being a rant about my ships. that feels on point, though. That feels on point for me. If you haven't figured it out, guys, I am shipper trash. Yeah. Please give us lesbians. Please. Okay, but yeah, that's... Everything else is kind of a new plotline, so, like, jokes aside about all I want to do is talk about my shipping. That's really, like, the only unresolved thread from the main series. This is just gonna be a new standalone plot, which gets me really excited, because, hopefully, even though I did kick everyone out who hasn't seen it yet, because I wanted to rant about stuff, I'm hoping that this being on Netflix might get a few new people to check the series out. Because, I mean, it's supposed to be like a standalone from what it's looking like. It's looking like it's going to be able to stand alone. It's looking like you're not going to have to go back and watch the rest of the show. And I'd love if it being on Netflix, which isn't just trapped in marketing to the people who are already Turtles fans the way Nickelodeon is, there's not the same expectations of all these people just came off 2012 and might still want something like that. I'm hoping that this is going to get it a wider audience. And that it's going to bring more people to the show. And I guess last thing, I'll do the required rant, although if you're here you probably already agree with me, so I'm preaching to the choir. Every time some dude bro on Twitter says that the animation in Rise is bad, I die a little inside, and at least it makes it easy to find the people who don't know how animation works. Listen, I know this is hard to believe. In the year of our Lord, 2022 on the internet, but you're allowed to just say that something is not of your interests without pretending that you're knowledgeable about a topic or pretending that your opinion is absolute. There are styles of animation I don't like. I don't go out and say this animation is bad unless it is actually low quality animation in the objective ways, like it's just, and even then, like, how objective is bad animation? But that's a whole other conversation. You can, what these people are trying to say is, I don't like the art style of this show. That is a valid thing to say. You don't have to go around saying the animation is bad, and to make it extra funny, the funniest sentence you can hear on the internet in the Turtles fandom, the animation on Rise is bad, and the 1980s version's animation was better. No, it wasn't. 1980s animation sucked. It was intentionally made as cheaply as possible in an effort to sell toys. It was outsourced to anime studios who were underpaid whenever it was possible, and it was not very high quality. I'm sorry. That is just objectively factual. Does it mean those shows were bad? No. They were wonderful shows. They informed an entire generation. You had people who were so inspired by these stories and these characters. Sometimes you'll get a show that's made to sell toys, and then you'll get a creative team behind it who wants to make it something more, and you end up with a really good show. Transformers does that all the time. Mutant Turtles is the same way. My Little Pony is the same way. I'm not saying that those shows were bad, quote unquote, but when people walk into the room and will say, look an animator in the eye, because these comments are usually in response to somebody who worked on the show posting storyboards or something, and say, this animation is bad, congrats, you just immediately lost all of your credibility and proved that you don't know how animation works in a single tweet. Just have opinions, guys. It's okay to have opinions. I know this is like a crazy thing, but you're allowed to say, I don't like this, without having to make it an entire essay about why it's objectively bad or why it's objectively problematic. You can just not like things. Oh, please look up the opening of Handsome Gakuen before the end of the stream. I have seen it. That said, I'm going to be very hesitant to play any clips of OPs. We were just talking about earlier how anime studios can get with their OPs and stuff. It's the reason I'm not playing the Turtles trailer for you. It's the reason I haven't played more clips as examples, is because I don't want to have to worry about editing for takedowns or any stuff like that. But I have seen the Gakuen Handsome opening. I actually keep meaning to watch that show because it reminds me so much of the kind of art we did when I was 12, and it looks amazing. But yeah, if you see me really hesitant to actually play full clips of things, that's why. Because unfortunately, while it is technically fair use, I don't want to fight people over proving it's fair use. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth the time and the hassle put into it. But yeah, I'm just like, guys, you can have opinions. That's all. I've said this 3 times now. I'm not sorry. This is Animation Hyperfixation. If you didn't expect autistic repeating of myself and rambling, I don't know what you're doing here. I just want to be able to have a conversation. That goes the other way, too. Like, I always feel a little bit trapped as somebody who is talking about animation and anime on YouTube, because there's this attitude out there where unless I preface with something 10 times, this is just my opinion, then people will take any opinion I have as me trying to say this is my opinion this is what I believe is objective fact, and everybody should feel this way. And it's frustrating. You know, it's really frustrating. I'll word things in a way that intentionally shows that it is just my opinion. I'll go, this is not my cup of tea, this isn't my genre. I won't say this genre's bad, this series is bad. I will intentionally word it that way, and you'll still get people who are like, she's telling us that we shouldn't watch this thing. And this happens a lot, so I've seen this happen to so many larger YouTubers that it makes me nervous as I get as I try to get more steam on my channel and pick up, and as I hopefully get a few more eyes on it. I get nervous because I am a very hyperbolic person. I'm very strongly worded in my opinions, but I'm always trying to make it clear those are my opinions, man. Those are just, like, my opinions. I may not like a genre very much. Heck, even if I go Bakemonogatari is trash, which I have several times, which I guess is kind of disproving my own point. I feel, in my humble opinion, Bakemonogatari is trash. Is that better, guys? Oh yeah, Hamster and Gretel. I had forgotten about that one. I'll be level. The trailer did not impress me. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. The trailer did not. Nothing about that trailer really impressed me that much. And I really love Phineas and Ferb, and I liked Milo Murphy's Law. I'm sorry. Just didn't. I'll probably watch the first episode when it comes out, but the trailer didn't do anything for me. It just didn't. I kind of feel like, at this point, Dan and his team might benefit from bringing in some new creative blood, like a new co-writer or something, because the shows are all starting to feel just a little bit samey. And I just feel like he's best when he's bouncing off of somebody else. In fact, I think that Swampy's not on this one, is he? I just think that it would be of benefit to have a secondary writer to bounce off of in this case, who's not the same one, to just add a little bit of something new in it, because Dan's work is starting to just feel a little homogenous. I'm sure it'll still be good, but nothing about the trailer made me go, ooh, that's good. But, alright. I do believe that is all the ranting I have about turtles, and yeah, Swampy's not on this one. And it shows just a little bit. I feel like Dan is at his best when bouncing off of someone. And I say that with the deepest respect possible. I really, Dan Povenmire is a gift, and I do not mean that of any disrespect. Dan, if somehow you're watching this, you're great! I don't think you're watching this, but yeah, it's like, better homogenous than homophobic. That's true! I mean, that's fair. But, yeah. So I think this is where we're going to wrap this one up for the night. Wow, we had, how many, I don't usually check my viewers, but how many of y'all are here? We got 3 right now, and I know at least 2 or 3 people left, when I put up the spoiler signals, so that's a good number of people. That's really great. I'm happy to see that. I was a little nervous that nobody would show up to this one because it's so different and I'd be talking into a bubble, but I mean, you guys love to talk about cartoons with me. I'll still be happy to talk about cartoons while playing games and stuff. That's not going to change. I love rambling about this. I'm a dork. But this is like a special time specifically to do this. To maybe talk about things that I need some notes, need to be a little more eloquent on, that I can't quite articulate while I'm running from a creeper or trying to do a platformer. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed this one. If you're watching this afterwards, or you get any ideas for topics afterwards, feel free to sound off in the comments. I will be reading comments. I will definitely keep any suggestions in mind for future episodes. They might even get me to finally watch something I've been meaning to. You guys know I'm easily swayed by peer pressure. Get up. I don't have many regular followers, so get on board before my channel blows up. I'm kidding. Quick, while I'm easily influenced, like, get in the comments and tell me about stuff you want me to do or watch. But yeah, if this is your first time on the channel, thanks so much for stopping by. I'm Netbug009. I talk about animation, I play video games, and I just do whatever the heck I feel like, because the algorithm is a crapshoot anyway. I might as well have a good time. If you're really enjoying my content and want to see new videos early or get priority access, I'm not planning a co-host right now. I kind of just want to ramble and talk to chat for the time. Maybe eventually. Maybe one of these days. But for now, this is kind of a thing I want to do solo. If I do it solo, I can also just do things at my own time and be a little more chill about it. If I get a co-host involved, there's a lot more organizing to do, and there's a lot more pressure. And this, I just kind of want this to be a vibe show where we just hang out and talk about this stuff. If you want to support my channel and get new highlights videos early and just help me do things like buy tickets to shows, my coffee is at the top. You can see it's animated. That's because if you donate during a stream, you get a little pop-up. If you donate at any time, I always try to promo people as much as I can in my videos and stuff. In fact, Baby Charmander was here earlier. Baby Charmander is a regular donor. Thank you so much. And next stream is tomorrow, probably. I have work and I've been really tired as it is. But I'm hoping to do a Minecraft Monday. Just gonna be me playing Minecraft as opposed to Two Dorks Play. We'll just vibe. I have some ideas for things I want to check out. And the next one of these will be when I feel I have enough content to talk about it. I'm hoping to do one roughly every 2 weeks, which will probably be easier to do in the summer as there's all this stuff coming out. And of course, at the end of an anime season, there's a lot to talk about. It'll just depend on when I have enough. Sort of like, I was a little inspired by Arlo's Nintendo News Roundups. He just does them whenever he has enough news to talk about. I'm just gonna do this whenever I have enough cartoon nonsense to talk about, to get in about 90 minutes like we did today. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming by, guys. You really make these streams way more fun, and I really appreciate it. I'm so glad that I've got a fairly regular following now. I know I say that a lot, but it really does make me so happy. Everyone have a good night, alright? And go watch Next Gen! It's good. It's a fun movie. It's got a robot and a girl with a side shave. I'm not biased to this at all. Good night!